Everyone wants to be seen changing, and that's the problem. We've come to believe that transformation needs to be declared, showcased, or hashtagged. We think growth must echo to be real. But the kind of transformation that lasts, it happens in silence. The real work is invisible. The roots breaking through, the mind rewiring itself, the internal shifts that have no audience. True transformation doesn't ask for attention, it demands intention. We live in a culture that rewards noise. Validation has become currency, and performative effort gets more credit than quiet commitment. So people chase the start, the announcement, the energy, the applause, instead of staying with the process. Loud beginnings are exciting, they feel powerful. But it's quiet mastery that holds the real weight. The people who truly grow aren't chasing approval, they're chasing alignment. They don't need to be seen working, they just need the work to work. They don't fear being in the shadows. They understand that the shadows are where the structure forms. If you've ever felt invisible, that's not a flaw, that's a sign. It means you're still in the building phase, still free from the distractions that come with visibility. And that's a gift. Let the loud ones burn out, chasing their echo. You're doing something more rare. You're choosing depth. They may peak in the beginning, but you're here for the long story. The feedback pours in, likes, encouragement, attention. It feels good, but that feeling is the trap. Your brain doesn't distinguish between real progress and the illusion of it. The moment you receive early applause, your mind cashes the check before the job is done. Dopamine gives you the reward before you've earned it, and suddenly your hunger fades. That's why so many dreams stall right after they begin. We mistake being seen for being in motion. Announcing your vision gives you a temporary high, but it can steal your drive. The applause fades quickly, and when it does, you're left facing the hard part without the crowd. The work begins where the noise ends, and that's where most people quit. Every time you share too early, you open the door to doubt, to noise, to external pressure. You invite commentary into something that's still forming. It's like exposing a seed before it has roots. The advice is simple: keep it underground. Let the vision take root in peace. Let it gather strength where no one's watching. When it's ready to grow, it won't need permission, and it won't need applause. Every time you pause your process to manage someone else's curiosity, you lose momentum. You don't owe a proof of life post. You don't owe a justification for your silence. You only owe the work, your full commitment to it. Trying to be understood by everyone is a trap. You dilute your vision when you shrink it to make it digestible. Stop adjusting your purpose just to fit other people's preferences. You're not here to make others comfortable. You're here to go deep. The people who truly need your work will find it, and they won't need it explained. Let your results do the talking. Let your execution be your clarity. You're not misunderstood. You're just not in the right room yet. Keep building. Go deeper. When it's time, the world will see it. You don't need to rush the reveal. You don't need to broadcast every milestone. The roots don't tweet. The foundation doesn't live stream, but they're the most important part of the structure. Don't interrupt your process to narrate it. Don't bend to be seen. Just build. In the end, it's not the updates that matter. It's the out. Chapter 4. The dangerous power of silence. They might think you've gone quiet. They might assume you've disappeared. What they don't realize is that silence isn't passive, it's tactical. Silence is your strategy. True power doesn't announce itself. It builds quietly, deliberately, and without seeking validation. The lion doesn't roar when it hunts. It watches, waits, and chooses the moment that matters most. The most dangerous moves are never loud. They're precise, focused, and timed. History doesn't just remember the loud disruptors. It reveres the quiet ones who changed everything behind the scenes. The monk, lost in solitude, sharpening his mind. The warrior, patient in silence, waiting for the right opening. The artist vanishing from the spotlight long enough to return with a masterpiece that shifts culture. Loud is often reactive. Silence, on the other hand, is strategic. When you move in silence, you're not hiding, you're collecting. You're observing, you're refining your aim while the rest of the world wastes energy making noise. Silence is not absence, it's alignment. It's not hesitation, it's preparation. Let them wonder where you went. Let them think you disappeared, because when you're truly focused, no one hears you coming, they only feel the results. The goal isn't to be seen building. The goal is to build something worth seeing when it's ready. Be so focused they think you disappeared. That's not a retreat. It's the calm before the impact. Chapter 5, Discipline Without Witness. The world celebrates the outcomes, the moments in the spotlight, but mastery is built where no one's looking. Greatness is forged in private. Early mornings, late nights, quiet rituals, and countless repetitions with no audience. The discipline you develop when no one is watching is the discipline that defines everything. There's no applause for showing up again. There's no recognition for saying no to distractions. There's no post that captures the 100th unseen effort. But it's in those moments, the ones that go completely unnoticed, where greatness takes root. Discipline without witness is the purest form of commitment. It's not for the attention. It's not for the approval. It's for the process. The truth is, routines don't go viral. Repetition isn't glamorous. But that quiet consistency, compounded over time, becomes undeniable. Private reps lead to public results. Every unseen draft, every early workout, every lonely decision adds up. The best-selling author had a mountain of pages no one ever read. The world-class athlete ran sprints long before anyone cared. The entrepreneur who celebrated today was quietly rejected, reshaped and refined before ever being spotlighted. If you're doing the work right now and no one sees you, that's a good sign. That means you're right where you need to be. Don't chase visibility. Don't break your rhythm just to be acknowledged. Let your results speak, and when they do, they'll echo louder than any announcement ever could, because by the time the world notices, you'll already be 3 steps deeper into the process. Not for the praise, but because discipline became who you are. That's the quiet edge. That's where mastery lives. Chapter 6, Privacy is Power. Not everything is meant to be shared. Not every thought needs an audience. Not every win needs a witness. In a culture obsessed with visibility, privacy becomes a radical form of power. What you choose to keep sacred becomes stronger, more rooted, more real. Overexposure, on the other hand, opens the door to judgment, confusion, and projection. The more you reveal, the more opinions you invite, and the more diluted your clarity becomes. Oversharing breaks the bond between you and the process. What was once pure becomes public property, filtered through outside eyes and expectations. There's a line between vulnerability and performance, between connection and spectacle. When you guard your ideas, they mature. When you hold your emotions close, they sharpen. When you protect your vision, it stays yours, untouched, unshaken. This isn't about isolation. It's about intention. It's about choosing what deserves protection instead of applause. Your most meaningful growth doesn't need validation. It needs space. And your most sacred thoughts don't need a platform. They need protection. Not everything you're building has to be broadcast. Some things are too valuable to be exposed before they're ready. So protect your energy. Guard your vision. Keep your power sacred. What's private stays pure, and what stays pure becomes unshakable. One swipe at a time, you start to absorb someone else's pace, someone else's style, someone else's dream. At first it looks like inspiration, but comparison in disguise is identity theft, and it slowly erodes your sense of self. When you measure your journey against someone else's highlight reel, you forget why you started. You begin to shrink your originality to fit their blueprint. You start chasing validation instead of vision. Your lane becomes blurred, your clarity fades, and your mission becomes something you no longer recognize. But your path was never meant to match theirs. Your pace, your timing, your rhythm, it's all designed for something only you can build. So reframe the question. Stop asking, start asking, am I better than I was last month? That's the metric that matters. That's the one that keeps you honest and grounded. Unfollow distraction. Follow discipline. Trade comparison for creation. Every moment you spend measuring yourself against others is a moment stolen from your own growth. Your identity is too important to compromise for applause. Protect it, return to it, honor it. Chapter 8. Your journey is sacred. You are not behind. You are not off track. You are not late. You are building something different, and different takes time. Still, it's easy to feel like you're falling behind when your timeline doesn't match the world's expectations. There's pressure to catch up, to explain yourself, to meet milestones that were never meant for your path. But the idea of a universal timeline is a myth. There is no single pace that defines success. There is only alignment with your own purpose, your own process, your own unfolding. When you rush to meet someone else's definition of progress, you rob your journey of its depth. Growth isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And your rhythm is right on time. The sacredness of your mission lies in its uniqueness. No one else has your blueprint. No one else is meant to walk your path. So let go of the noise. Release the pressure. Trust that what you're building requires exactly this pace. Not because you're slow, but because you're intentional. You're not behind. You're building something different. That truth alone is enough. Chapter 9. The Proving Ground. Obscurity is where champions are made. Obscurity often feels like punishment, like being locked out of the room you want so badly to enter. But in truth, it's training. The quiet, thankless seasons are not setbacks. They are sanctuaries. This is the proving ground, where everything real gets built. The spotlight doesn't sharpen you, the shadows do. You grow stronger not when you're seen, but when you keep showing up despite being unseen. This is where invisible effort stacks into something tangible. The hours that no one tracks, the small wins you quietly celebrate, the promises you keep when no one is watching. That's where belief is born. You're not just building skills, you're building you, and the version of you that can endure obscurity without resentment. That's the version that's ready for anything. The real test isn't talent, it's perseverance. When it feels pointless, it's how you talk to yourself when your work goes unnoticed. It's how you carry yourself when the world gives you no signal that you're on the right track. This is mental conditioning, a crucible for self-respect. If you can find your edge here, you'll never lose it again. So while others chase visibility, let them. You have something deeper. You're refining the parts of yourself that applause can't reach. You're learning patience. You're learning resilience. And you're sharpening your precision in the silence. Stay in the shadows. They sharpen your edge. This is not where you disappear. It's where you become undeniable. Chapter 10. When you become unrecognizable. The greatest transformation is when even you don't recognize yourself. There comes a point in the journey where the mirror shows you someone you don't fully recognize, and that's when you know it's working. Not because you've become someone new, but because you finally started peeling away everything that wasn't you, the habits, the small talk, the self-sabotage, the noise. It falls away, and what's left is sharper, calmer, focused. You catch yourself responding with grace instead of reacting with impulse. You notice your body language, your tone, your pace, and it's different, measured, rooted. The external world might not see it immediately, but you feel it. You start surprising yourself. You watch your own discipline and think, I didn't know I had that in me. That's the transformation, not a public breakthrough, but a private evolution. This isn't about being unrecognizable to others. It's about becoming unfamiliar to the older version of yourself. It's about stepping into the life that used to feel too far away to reach. And suddenly, it's no longer a dream, it's your baseline. That's the highest form of growth. Not clapping for the idea of change, but embodying it. Letting your actions and energy do all the talking. The goal is never applause. It's alignment. You're not here to impress anyone. You're here to become who you were always capable of being. And when that happens, when you evolve past the version of you that needed permission or praise, it feels like peace, quiet, solid. Ask yourself daily, what would the highest version of me do today? Then go do it, even when it's hard, especially then. That transformation must be announced. That success isn't real unless it's seen. But that's a lie. The truth is, the most powerful rise is the one you don't see coming. It happens in silence, in small increments, behind closed doors. And when it finally arrives, it doesn't need an introduction. It is the introduction. Every time you feel tempted to prove yourself, to post about your plans, to explain your absence, remind yourself proof is better than permission. You don't need to be understood. You need to be consistent. Let the work verify what you've been building. Let your actions introduce your evolution. You are not falling behind just because you're not broadcasting every step. There's strength in moving without noise, without the urge to defend, to explain, to validate. Let them wonder. Let your silence create distance between where you were and who you're becoming. This kind of rise has a different energy. It's not frantic. It's not desperate. It's quiet, controlled, intentional. It's the lion in the grass, still, watchful, calculating. And when the moment comes, you strike with force and clarity. Move like a lion, quiet, calculated. Then strike, not to be noticed, but because you're ready. You don't need to shout your way into relevance. When the foundation is strong, the structure speaks for itself. Chapter 12, The Legacy of the Silent Builder. You don't need to be seen to be unstoppable. You didn't take the easy road. You didn't chase the quick win. You didn't perform for attention or bend for approval. You built slowly, quietly, honestly, and that's why it lasted. Because the silent path, the one without applause or recognition, is the one where roots go deepest. Looking back, you'll realize the silence was never a void. It was a container for growth, for self-trust, for alignment. You didn't just build a result. You built resilience. You didn't just achieve something. You became something. And yes, it was uncomfortable. You doubted. You questioned. You were overlooked. But you stayed. You refined your craft in the shadows. You turned loneliness into fuel. You turned self-doubt into self-discipline. You glowed up in a way no one saw coming. Not because it was sudden, but because it was sacred. This is what legacy looks like. Not the loudest voice, but the clearest one. Not the biggest splash, but the deepest current. You didn't need to prove. You just needed to become. And you did. You're not unstoppable because the world crowned you. You're unstoppable because you built yourself quietly when no one was watching. That's the legacy of the silent builder. Consistent, grounded, and unforgettable.